Call the Exeter Township Planning Commission meeting, October the 21st, 2024, to order. Please rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll take roll call. Jeff Whitman?
Here.
Eric Mounts?
Here.
Aaron O'Donnell? Not present. Les Tosa?
Here.
Jordan Wegman?
Here.
Mitch Zimmer?
Here.
Okay. First item here, we'll just say public comments. Is there anybody that wishes to speak from the public at this point on any topic? If not, as we get to the different topics in our agenda, if you wish to speak on that item, simply raise your hand, we'll call upon you, and you can make comment at that point. First item, motion to approve the agenda for this evening's meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Jeff,
I'll second.
second by Eric. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Next item, approval of the minutes from September 16th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting. Did everybody have a chance to look at those? Any comments, questions, corrections?
Then I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mitch. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. First item under new business, Mount Penn Borough Land Development Waiver Request. And I believe this has to do with a building being constructed at the property on Butter Lane.
Yes,
At the
502.
wastewater treatment plant location.
It's the Antietam Valley Municipal Authority Treatment Plant Facility. They're proposing to put a building roughly 6,000 square feet right at the driveway entrance off of Butter Lane.
And do we have someone here to?
Yeah,
present this
Ty.
evening? Ty?
I from Systems is here. I believe Hunter Aaron's the borough manager is supposed to attend.
He told me he would be here. I'm not sure if he couldn't make it or not,
Okay.
but I'm sure their engineer can.
Well, I know that he was supposed to be here, but I handed you out this sketch that we were proposing. Mount Penn Borough is proposing, I'm Tyler Weber, I'm with System Design Engineering. I'm Mount Penn Borough's engineer, and we are looking to install or construct a 6,000 square foot garage, a pole building on the Antietam Valley Municipal Authority property. The location is, if you look at the plan up here, coming down off of George Street, that open space between Butter Lane and this first building is where we are looking to put in our building. We are holding 20 feet from the existing building. The existing building is the police storage building where they put their vehicles that they've seized. So we're not looking to use that. We are just putting it in that open space next to it. We are holding roughly 40 feet from the driveway to the building so that we can pull off the road and before we have to open up the doors and enter. So we will be addressing your stormwater ordinance requirements, whether it's rate control or just a water quality. I will be talking with Joe in his office to see what they're looking for, but we will comply with whatever the township is looking for stormwater management. We're not looking for any waivers other than a waiver from the land development process. We're disturbing roughly 12 to 15,000 square feet of ground area, and that will be for grading and the building. The building is roughly 6,000 with the parking in front of it, just under 4,000, so we're just under 10,000 square feet for impervious area. So, that's what we're looking at. We will be providing public water and public sewer to the building. We will tie it into the manhole up here next to, at the intersection of Butter Lane and George Street. And we will be tying into the water line out at Butter Lane.
Joe, could you just maybe give a brief summary of how this property lies in the township and how there's things kind of fit together between Mount?
Yeah,
and
actually,
Lower
actually, the
Houses,
municipal,
Exeter?
municipal boundary bisects the AVMA property. I believe it's St. Lawrence, it's, part of it's in St. Lawrence. The part that Ty is presenting this evening, the upper part I would call is actually in Exeter Township, so they would fall under our jurisdiction when it comes to the saldo and zoning and so forth. It would be an accessory structure to the principal use, basically being used for municipal purposes. My understanding, Ty, you're just going to store vehicles,
Yes.
equipment and so forth in there, so it's being used, and that's, I think it was a 4 or 5 bay garage.
Yes. It's
Okay.
5A. The existing garage that they use right now it's in this location here. So we're looking to expand the building size, give this building back to the authority so that we can be up in this area and have direct access. We'll have our plows in that area. And so all of our equipment will come out of this building. We received a grant to be able to construct this building, and we have chosen to put it in this location.
Since it's located within the township, then would it fall under our jurisdiction as far as land development submission?
That lower left-hand corner of the building is showing that it's going to be encroaching on the woods there. That's what I'm seeing.
Yes, it is. When we
How
go
far,
through
how far do you expect to go back into those woods there, wooded area, to remove a lot of trees? I mean,
No, we don't look to do any more disturbance than we have to. I can move it forward some, but I could move it 5 to 10 feet, but and then it'll make this 30 to 35 feet, so we are fine with moving that forward.
Jeff, one thing, our tree ordinance does require any removal of tree, depending upon what the caliber size of that tree, that they'll be required to replace it. So if there is any disturbance, it's something the planning commission, maybe I'm jumping ahead, it always could be a condition. If for replacement of tree or landscaping or whatever the planning commission desires to have on site.
Well, our thought is to use a rain garden for any stormwater management that we need to do. Whether it's located in this area or up in this area, has to be determined.
So
I
how
guess-
many trees they remove, they add that many back somewhere else on the property?
Yeah, typically they would have to replace
Correct.
those trees somewhere.
They would have to replace it. The township, depending upon whether a waiver is recommended or if not, planning commission, we do have a landscaping section of our ordinance which pertains to screenings. It's always something that, to the discretion of the planning commission, they can always make a recommendation for some any additional screenings if applicable.
I don't see that's unreasonable, so.
I understand the parking area, you want a safe area to maneuver vehicles, especially when you're that close proximity to Butter Lane, to have at least the vehicle be able to be on that driveway.
Yeah, and we were trying to hold the front of these buildings as distance to the lane as well.
So I guess the other question I had was, So you would comply with the stormwater ordinance that we have as far as making sure that stormwater is addressed. The only other thing that comes to mind, and this kind of falls in line with other things we've done like with things like this in the past, is lighting, making sure that our lighting ordinance is followed.
yeah, I think-
The concern I would have is, this is close to the road, and I know it's a residential area right across the street. It's just being sure that what we're doing there doesn't.
I think we wouldn't be out of line. They would be required to submit a lighting plan, even if this was a building permit, to address that concern that you're not going to have any, I'll call light pollution onto neighbors across the street or onto oncoming vehicles. I mean, that's something, a condition, landscaping, I mean, they still would need to apply or adhere to the applicable zoning requirements of our ordinance as well.
Would the
sorry.
building permit on this be issued by Exeter then, since it is
Yes.
in our jurisdiction?
Yes.
Even though the AHJ is St. Lawrence?
Yes, it's still in our township. Whether or not a municipality owns the property, it still falls under our jurisdiction as far as our ordinance, as far as building permits.
So why are they asking for a waiver for?
I guess to answer your question, I'm sorry, Jeff.
Go ahead.
Jason, I think to answer your question, that might be something, if the taxes are being paid, then I think that's something we might want to approach our solicitor, just to be on the safe side, because that situation has brought itself in a similar where we had both Lower Allis and Exeter Township. It was a subdivision where I think there was agreement that one, same situation. The
Right.
property was actually split and the taxes were actually split. A little different situation here, but since if the taxes are being paid for that area in question, we'll need to see whether or not they're paid to us
I
since
was
it's in
under
our
the-
township.
I was under the assumption that St. Lawrence being the municipality, the AHJ, I was under the assumption that they would review and issue the permits, but I could be wrong. I might be. We can figure,
Yeah,
something
we
we can
could-
figure out.
yeah,
Obviously,
I
it's gonna
think-
have to be figured.
Normally, it is done by the municipality.
Where it's located, yeah.
And I pulled it up on the screen, you can see it is St. Lawrence. They are, the municipality is listed. I assume the building permits would go through them, but
It all depends how many of those buildings are, I mean, they're tax exempt, but
Right.
depending upon, since they fall in our jurisdiction, we'll have to look to see whether or not the police, I think the evidence shed was paid. The fees may have been waived, but it may
Right.
still have been processed through the township. That's something we probably can verify. I believe that fell under the former zoning officer. That's something you and I can do some research.
yeah, we have to work it out.
So
Okay.
just a couple other questions. So you said sewer service would be provided, assuming the sewer service comes from Antietam Joint Municipal Authority. So not a concern there with having capacity, since they're party to this plan.
Ty, is there going to be any bathroom facilities in this building?
There will be a restroom.
Okay.
yes, and there will be some sinks.
Okay.
And it's,
We're looking at a grinder pump, most likely, to get it up the hill.
And will there be any washing of the trucks? Is that something that's going to be used? More of a recycling period, it's more what they require now to go through?
It would be
Okay,
recycled.
okay.
and then the water, is this area, is this Mount Penn Borough Authority
I
for
believe,
water? or
yes,
is this-
I believe it's Mount Penn Borough
It
Water
is. I believe
Authority.
it is.
Okay, so again, that would be, I'm thinking about the well service.
No, I know Mount Penn Borough Water it predominantly is Lower Alsis as well as obviously Mount Penn, but I believe this falls under their jurisdiction, but I can double check that.
Okay.
When we submit our grading plan and our stormwater plan, we'll give you will serve letters.
Okay, okay.
Sewer and water.
So why are they asking a waiver of land development?
You want to answer that or should I?
But why they're
Why
asking?
they're asking. My assumption to that, and then you can answer, but they have the ability to, because they're a government agency, to ask for a.
Typically, most ordinance have a provision that waives any use that's governmental use. Our ordinance, I believe we did have it, but I think it was taken out at one point. I did check the zoning ordinance. The only thing we have under zoning is expansion of an existing use when land development is not required at the 2,500 square foot or 25%, whichever is the lesser of the two. However, a municipality does have the right to exempt themselves as well as other governmental entities that are looking for not to go through the process, not necessarily state that they're not going to conform to our ordinances, but not go through the planning commission process where they would go preliminary and then they would need to go final. Same with the board. I'm assuming, and maybe this is a question for the borough manager, that they just want to not have to go through that just to expedite the review process.
That is correct. We're looking to start construction in the late summer, I'm sorry, late winter, early summer.
And I would just add, I think some of that goes, we've discussed it here before about intermunicipal cooperation to help each other.
So we have.
I believe that's the
2
intent
years
of it.
Yeah.
To construct the building and keep it in operations before our grant becomes null. void.
So we dealt with some things with Lower Alsace like this before where we had a park.
Yes.
And they had built the park and it fell in both.
Yeah, that's a good example. The same situation we have is off of Harvey Avenue. There was actually Mount Penn Borough Water actually owns that land. It's Crystal Lake is known, but that park is owned by the Water Authority, but part of it, probably maybe 50% of it's in our township. They did ask for a waiver. Actually, we did review it, but it was more of I'll call it abbreviated process where both Lower Alice has had more of an impact on Exeter because it was draining into Exeter and then via the Antietam Creek. But it's something that the Planning Commission as well as the board took into consideration since it was a park, and I believe we permitted an abbreviated land development or waived the process and just made sure that they comply with our applicable ordinance sections.
So any questions, thoughts? I mean, my only thought was just maybe we could do an abbreviated
That's what I was
plan
thinking.
that would keep it moving, and in the spirit of cooperation and getting things done quickly. And again, that's no different than we've done some other things in the past for folks where they were, say, doing an accessory building structure to an existing facility. So abbreviated, it's more or less just calling out the things that we think need to be addressed or reviewed, like we discussed stormwater here tonight, lighting,
Landscaping.
and landscaping.
Would it be a sketch plan, like,
I was thinking like the preliminary and final at the same
Preliminary,
time.
final plan.
If the planning commission chooses my recommendation, if you want to go abbreviated, then I would just do the one process where they would just need to come once, and then we can have them work with our staff, engineering department, and as well as our office on getting everything in order for the plans to come in and hopefully just be a one-time submission to the planning commission, and then they could forward to the board. That's something the planning commission could consider.
That's what I'd like to recommend.
Yeah, is that, would that be helpful for your timeline to work preliminary, final? Basically, you could be back here next month and we would be done with it.
We'll be as detailed as the township wants us to be. We'll show a site plan that meets all the zoning requirements, all the setback requirements. We'll prepare whatever landscape plan you need.
Okay.
Lighting, I don't think is going to be an issue because it's going to be probably just on the building.
On the building. And the lighting can also be reviewed at the building permit stage too. It's typically what we have done. However, since they're not going to be lighting the parking lot, it's just going to be lighting for security purposes. But it's something we still should review just for the same concerns that you mentioned, Glenn.
Our total disturbance is going to be less than 1 acre, so we're not required to go to the conservation district unless required by the township. We will prepare a E&S plan, and Joe can tell me if I need that approved by the conservation district. But it'll be around 15,000 square feet of disturbance.
So,
I'll make a motion for the amended land development process to make the preliminary and final at one time.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Can we add the conditions about the trees, the land?
That'll be in there,
It'll be in there.
as long as, as long as everything's reviewed by our township engineer and Jason and our building, and they follow our building codes. That's all we should really need.
Yep. We really should see the final plan before it goes,
Okay.
I think that's only fair.
Okay. So I have a motion,
I'll second it.
second by Les. Any further discussion? Okay, the conditions specifically would be storm, lighting.
Trees,
That would be with the landscape.
You could tree/landscaping,
Yep.
yes.
Any other specific items?
No, not-
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you very much
Thank you.
for hearing us tonight, and we will see you again.
Thanks for coming in.
Okay, next item on the agenda is 502 West 37th Street, a variance request. Someone here this evening to represent that. John, you have the floor.
You don't have any exhibits to your file?
Yeah, I do.
No. Put it up, or should I just do handout? I have 4 handouts, if you don't mind sharing. Sure. Sometimes it's easier just to see a hard copy.
Thank you.
502 is proposing a auxiliary structure. Because of the zone that they're in a SR1 zoning district. Zoning district in this particular area or part of the borough is kind of mixed up, and I say it that way, not to be mean, but what happens is some of this specific area, or most of it, falls underneath public water and public sewer. This particular property, the water never extended to this far. The sewer is there, and because of its on-lot water, it puts them from a 12,000 square foot lot minimum requirement up to an acre. And therefore, all the setbacks and everything are rather brutal to try and comply with all those. So zoning relief is being sought for 2 specific sections. One, the actual SR1 suburban residential district, area yard and height regulations. And I say that because currently the existing setback requirement for on-lot water is 50 feet, even though the house currently is 30 feet, which also almost matches exactly if you had public water and public sewer. Now, I'm not so sure if the attorney is going to argue the fact that this is an existing non-conforming structure in the SR1 zone, since it has public sewer and on-lot water, or whether they're going to take the position that the proposed garage, or I'll say storage facility / toy keeper, whatever, that particular building will be 30 foot from the setback line. More importantly, the rear yard will be reduced to about 17.9 feet. And because of that, we still maintain that an auxiliary structure is allowed in the rear yard, provided it doesn't get any less than 10 feet. So that's why the 10 foot is on for side, and it exceeds in the rear, that there's at least 10 foot. The one section of the zoning ordinance that does need relief, and that would be 390.29. Residential accessory buildings must be a minimum of 10 foot between the location of the building and the primary structure. In this particular case, we only have 6.3. We pushed it so it's 6.3 so that we can maintain a 10-foot side yard, because there's not enough distance from the existing house to that side yard location that either one of them has to need zoning relief. We chose to put the buildings closer, so it only affects the client. And anyone looking at the property, that auxiliary structure will be at least 10 foot to the side yard, which just so happens to be an alley. So no one will ever know, other than the clients, relative to it's 6.3 and not 10 foot. The last item, if you go back to the yard area and regulation chart, I think the existing coverage is roughly 61%. After the proposal with the removal of a shed and the construction of this auxiliary structure, it goes up to 68, almost 69%. That's violation. When you look at the requirements, it says in this zone, because of the on-lot water, you need 79% open space. However, if this were to have public water, it only needs 60%, and we would comply. So this is just one of those very difficult properties.
What do you
and it's a
mean by
shame
that?
It doesn't have the public water.
What do you mean by that you would comply?
Well, if we had public water instead of on-lot water,
Right.
we would be reduced to only needing a minimum open space of.
The zoning require,
My question is, are they saying that they want to have the water coming in and
No,
get?
no, what
Okay.
I'm comparing is the two zones within the SR1.
Is the water
And we
avail,
would
is,
comply with one.
is the water available there?
No.
It's not.
It's too far away from this particular property to extend it. Plus, they already have an existing water well.
Yeah, but this building, you have to excuse me, but this building is going right on top of the well, basically.
It's right at the corner. It'll be preserved.
I have to ask Jason, is there any,
There's no setback from a well. I've seen homes on top of, I mean, there's no setback.
Is it a
from a well.
unless you have a well-protected ordinance, wellhead protected ordinance, which usually 100-foot isolation distance, then it's anywhere.
Yeah,
The
we do
township
not
does
have
not have one.
a well, septic and obviously from a well, but not a well from a structure.
Yeah, there's separation just between those two.
I mean, I've already, I'm sorry to say, have subdivided houses where the well's in the basement. It's a hand-dug well.
yeah,
Older
It
homes.
is one of those things.
just want to make sure.
This is what they want, this is what's desired, but the well and the footer will not be in conflict.
I know Jason and I had a discussion about this earlier, and my question to Jason was about a detached garage and an attached garage. And what's the difference? Why do we need a 10-foot separation between the house and the detached garage, is my question. Because it's going to be for the same purpose as a garage would be, except you don't have a driveway going to it. That's why I see that now. You're not going to have a driveway going to it.
Correct.
So I don't see any problem with that relief of 6 feet.
And the other pertinent section would be obviously lot coverage.
So, the water company is not
Has
well,
nothing to do with this, I was just comparing apples and oranges, that if they had water, we wouldn't need relief from the open area coverage requirement. That's the only reason for that
have they
statement.
ever asked, and
Is the
So
township
when
going
we
to have
first
to have
moved
some
there
kind
and so we owned a
of
house
mitigation
on Circle
liability if
Avenue
something
and we were
happens?
going to expand
No,
that
it would be
one,
at their own
and that's
risk.
when we found out about the 40% land coverage. And so, but we found this house that suited our needs better, thinking we could put a structure on it. And so when we went through this process, then we found out about the well, making it less. So we called the water company, and unless we got every single person on our street to agree to get public water, they will not do it. And none of them want to do it based on the issues that we're
You don't want it anyway. Stick with your well.
Yeah, we asked for gas, and we called the gas company, and we called the water company, and they said unless we can get the entire street on it, there's no.
They have to have a bang for their
Yeah,
buck. It's not
yeah,
there.
they can't do it under they go in front of the PUC, so they have to have
Mitch, the-
justification.
So you know, another reason for the impervious coverage is so that the well has a chance to
well,
refill.
that seems to
Okay,
be
so
the
you're gonna
biggest.
you're gonna be attacking that reserve, just so that you're aware of it. That's all I have to say. I don't have a problem with it.
The zoning hearing board meeting is actually scheduled for, I believe, October 30th.
It is.
So if in fact you, the planning commission, would like to make a recommendation for, obviously, or against, any one section that we're applying for, we would honor whatever those statements would be.
It'll be seen by the Board of Supervisors on the 28th, zoning hearing board on the 30th.
So at the time, if the variance was granted by the zoning hearing board, at the time they came for a building permit, you would deal with stormwater at that point?
They would
Address
have to do a stormwater plan because of the size of their lot. Yes, they're gonna have to do a stormwater plan, so that would have to be submitted with the building permit. So yeah, stormwater would be addressed.
If I may, the overall earth disturbance will be less than 5,000 square, so they will not qualify to have to prepare and submit a sediment erosion control plan to the conservation district.
Right.
So it'll just be the stormwater management plan relative to the increase. Now, the increase is also only going to be for the structure itself, less they are removing, I believe, a shed on the property that we've shown TBR to be removed.
Oh,
It's not
okay.
to be relocated, it's to be removed, and because of the size of the new building, anything that's in that shed will be placed in the garage. So that they will get some credit for.
Yeah, they,
So you're actually asking for the waiver for 390-15F and 390-29B2, and I will make a motion to recommend that we approve both of these.
And the two-car garage that's been converted, that's at the end of the macadam driveway, is now an
That's
apartment,
currently there and being used.
as an
This is in
apartment.
addition
No,
to.
the current garage there is currently storage.
We
So I
want to
took
make
my,
it
I
into
took my
living.
parents in,
Okay, that's where you want to put the apartment.
right, I'd want that to be increased living space for
We had to bring in our, I had to bring in our in-laws
Okay.
due to ailing health.
Okay, so I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Jordan. Okay, further discussion.
If this well dries, whose problem is it? Do they,
Property owners.
Properties.
Property
It won't
owners.
dry, But if it does, then it would be our responsibility to dig a new one.
About 300 foot, and that service road right downhill from it is a wetland.
It's a wetland, and it all goes down to that service road anyway, so your service road is what is recharging everything.
Yeah, that well isn't gonna,
So the one, the one question that I would ask, and this is the same question the zoning hearing board would ask, is what is the hardship?
in what sense, what do you mean for?
What is the hardship? What is the reason that the variance should be granted? That's the question that always comes up, is it has to be a hardship to.
Quality of life for my parents.
Yeah.
So we decided to pull them, my initial plan was to pull them down from Bethlehem. I relocated them down here and had them renting for 2 years until I could find a suitable place closer to me down here. With my father's declining health, it became apparent that they needed to come in-house. So at that point, we was either, buy a new house together or put an addition on my existing home on Circle Avenue right around the corner, which had water and gas and everything else. So when we were looking at all these options, the housing market was pretty crazy. This house became available, it checked off more of the boxes for everything that we would need. And, having just looked at some of the ordinances for, on Circle for a building permit there, I thought, there's plenty of room over here. The part that I missed was with the well. So we already made that leap, got into this position, like, all right, well, now here we are, we're stunned. So everything that we wanted to do as far as that goes kind of got put on hold.
But you presently own the property.
Yes.
We do.
Yeah, we're committed.
Any further discussion? Okay, and again, just to make clear, this is only a recommendation to the zoning hearing board. We have no authority
And the
to,
BOS.
one way or the other.
And the BOS.
So, and the Board of Supervisors, correct. So, motion was on the floor, had a first and had it second. Barring no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay?
One. Do we need to do roll call?
No,
Okay.
I've got it.
Mitch-
Yeah.
Just Mitch was descending them. Yep.
Thank you
Okay,
all
motion carries.
for
Thank you.
discussion this evening.
Thanks for coming in, guys.
Next item, 50 Bridge Street, another variance request.
No, we can't let them do this.
I didn't hear what he said.
Say, we can't let you do this.
Tell them what I said earlier.
Yeah.
You can have that then if you want, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm just,
Do you need me to key it up, chief, or are you okay? Okay, so this variance was submitted by our police department. They entered into a land lease agreement with JP Mascaro in December of '23 for a property located at 50 Bridge Street. And this property is, I'm sorry, let's go here. This property is off of the bridge going down into Birdsboro, from Exeter into Birdsboro. It's in the light industrial district, and the police department's wish is to put an outdoor shooting range, a gun range, on this property that they've currently leased. Being in light industrial, it's not a permitted use in that zone. So what they would need is a use variance to operate their shooting range. The range is, and the chief can explain it a little more in detail, but to my understanding, the range will be in private use for only our police department, used several times a year. This property is boundaried by a lot of area is boundaried by the Pioneer Crossings landfill, and then also the Schuylkill River. It does have minimal access to homes, but there are some. So that's what we're here for this evening, see if the planning commission would like to make a recommendation to the zoning hearing board in favor of this variance to create a shooting range for our police department. Chief, take it away.
I don't know if you wanted this little background, is we are having a very difficult time to find places to train. We currently have to try to lease from other agencies. The range that we lease from now is Kumru, and we have to pay for it. The problem is with Kumru, it's for smaller police departments, and we normally need up to 10 officers per training day, and the range isn't big enough. It really holds us back from scheduling and overtime issues. Matter of fact, our last training day is scheduled for our night shoot on election day. We try to get it switched, and there's no other days available for the rest of the year. We're having a hard time in the size of our department. So I approached Pat Mascaro. I felt that this is the perfect location. It's in a very remote location. It's only surrounded by his land. The houses that Jason spoke about is on the other side of the river. A few houses on the other side of the river. If you look at that picture there, we're only taking the bottom side, the south side of that, only half of that, and then half of that. So we're only taking basically a quarter of that property there. It's less than an acre for the range. When I spoke to Mr. Mascaro, he decided to lease us the land. We have an agreement with already in place that was signed by the board of supervisors, where there is insurance coverage, and moving forward, then we wanted to start getting, after we got approval from JP Mascaro, I was contacted by many different contractors and people that needed to dump dirt, and they started to dump some dirt, so I immediately applied for an ENSC plan with the conservation district, and it was approved. And our road crew did all the proper putting down the tubing and the mulch, and made sure it was all set up so none of the dirt would go into the river. And at this point then, I wanted to make sure that when we needed a site plan, so I contacted Tom Ludgate Engineering Corporation, and he put a site plan together. And that's what site plan we're gonna use. I have copies of the plan if you would need it. I have big copies, and I have smaller ones if everyone would like to see it. I also have copies of the the Mascaro agreement that we have, the E and SC plan, and the Tom Woodgates, if you guys would want me to hand them out to you. You want to pass them around?
Chief, I'd like to chime in and note that this range is fully fenced, and it will be fenced. It is currently, property is fenced in, and it will be locked. There will be no access to anybody being able to use this if they're not, if they don't have authorization. The property was used for storage for some construction equipment in the past.
Yeah, so this part of the range here, you come down Bridge Street, this is the bridge, 345 bridge, you come down, go underneath the railroad tracks, and then we would, this part here this would be parking. We would just put down, mill tilling, with millings, so we're not putting any type of permanent structure on the property. So that would be our parking lot, then, we have a 100-yard range, it would be, so right here, we're putting a pavilion, but it's a storage container. So instead of having a permanent structure, and the road crew is making it, sort of taking the sides up on it and making it like a pavilion, so that would be a 100-yard pavilion here. Then this, from 80 yards, it would be a berm, and it has to be at least 8 to 10 feet high. And then our back berm has to be 34 feet high. So we already have it developed, we're gonna have it 40 feet high, the berm, and then the sides are gonna be at least 15 feet high.
You do realize that this property is in the 100-year floodplain?
Yes, we do, but the thing is, if the floodplain comes up, we would be okay.
You're not doing any electrical, plumbing,
No.
nothing permanent. There's no land development that would be required.
Permanent structure, there is lighting there already, he had lighting there for the, he rented it out. It was perfectly flat and already a perfect situation for us because JP Mascara rented it to Hinkle and McCorney and stored all their equipment down there. So, it's already fenced around with proper security measures, we have security cameras already installed. We already, fixed the fence, any locations that were trees on the fence or anything, already fixed it, we made sure it's easy access. I could tell you, we'd probably shoot, I don't want to give you the exact number, but we have 4 platoons that shoot at least two to maybe 3 times a year, so the most would be 12 times a year we would shoot there. I already spoke to the Birdsboro authorities, they're aware of the plan. JP Mascaro said that they're the only other police department that would be allowed to shoot there, but they would have to have an agreement. And I don't know if they desire to do it or not. I guess they want to wait to see how lights they do inspection. So I can tell you that everything will be top notch, and will be safe, and we're going to do everything to prepare it so we can keep sound barrier also for the houses on the other side of Birdsboro. When I say sound barrier, we're going to make the berm as high as possible, and we're going to also cover with completely with mulch, because we have so much, the township has so much mulch, so we make it even safer, and we make it more sound barrier, keep it in there. You're looking at, like I said, 8 to 12 times a year. 4 of those training days would be till for our night shoots, because it's very important for us to train in the dark. And we do not pass, even though the township ordinance allows us to shoot at any time, we don't have to follow the township ordinance of shooting until 10 o'clock. We would still follow it. We usually try to get off training by 9:30. So we shoot at this time of year because of the change of the time change. So it allows us to start to get on the range. It starts getting dark by 5:30, so we can just get our 4 hours of training in. So it'd be something that'd be huge for us, for our department, having that range. We could develop it, put targets up we need. Could be, allow us to be able to have the proper, all 10 guys on the line at a time. That would save us a lot of overtime. I don't know if you have any other questions.
I'm going to make a motion.
Houses-
Go ahead, go ahead.
Houses in this vicinity, or, I don't see any on the map, but
No, there's no houses on the Exeter side, but if you go over on the other side of the river, there's, I can't remember the street name, School Pool?
It's Old River Road.
Old River Road, yeah.
okay.
There's
Mitch.
houses along this.
If you look, Mitch, up on the screen
Oh, yeah, I
now,
see.
behind the chief, there's a few there. That a few of them would have,
15 feet.
Because I remember we had a shooting range question, 2 years ago? It was an issue with sound, and Am I the only one remembering it? or-
That's correct.
That's University.
University Rifle Club.
Yeah, Rifle Club.
If I could note one thing, I was,
But they shoot till all, they have, they're exempt from the noise ordinance because they're grandfathered in. And it's been a big issue, and they shoot almost every weekend till 2, 3, 4 o'clock. in the morning. They won't do that. It shouldn't be an issue.
if I could note, I was reached out to by a representative from Birdsboro Borough, and because this is in such close vicinity to the borough, they did speak about it they spoke about it at, I believe, their council meeting. I think they call it council meetings. And it's to my understanding that they did give the project their blessing.
Would you offer this for free to the Birdsboro Police Department, or would they have a fee that way you can keep it up?
No, there would be no fee.
Okay.
The only thing, like I said, they have to have their own lease agreement with
Mascaro.
Mascaro for, more or less for insurance purposes.
Well, I'm also worried about you having the time, and they come in, and all of a sudden,
Yeah.
who's going to arrange who has,
Well, I mean, we'll have range rules and regulations, but
well,
I have no Birdsboro has, I believe, 7 officers. They probably they'd only need a day or two, and I'd feel comfortable.
yeah, I'm just worried about you running into difficulties in scheduling, that's all.
That wouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Then I'm going to make a recommendation that we send to the zoning hearing board the approval or to approve the variance request from section 390-25.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor.
I'll second.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Les. Further
Question.
discussion?
Yeah. You had made a big point last time, the 1-to-1 slope ratios. I assume that doesn't apply to berms like this. That's more in construction.
I think, so Joe, on this, the berm.
Yeah, I
berm
don't-
that's being proposed is for a gun range, not
If,
for.
if you're applying the steep slope section of our zoning ordinance, that would be exempt. Any type of berm, highway, any roadway cuts that are 3-to-1 or flatter, or detention basins, and my interpretation, this would apply as well, that they would be exempt from the steep slope ordinance because it's a man-made berm, and we have exemptions in our steep slope if it's used for those type of purposes, and I think this would be applicable.
This is serving a safety purpose.
Any other questions? Okay, so I have a motion and a second.
Second.
So, yeah, we
we had
have
a
a
second,
second, have a
then
second,
third.
yep. All right, so, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time tonight.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay, we have reached the last item on our agenda. Anything else that, any planning commission members have for new business? Jeff?
I just want to update everybody on the joint comprehensive plan that I did ask for the 4 different questions I proposed at the last meeting, and to add them to the survey. And we're supposed to have all your inputs. So if anybody has a question to add to the survey, so that the Exeter residents can answer the question for you, or give their opinions, please let me know, because it's going to be due in 2 weeks. Actually, not 2 weeks, 1 week. It's going to be finalized at the beginning of November. I just want to make sure everybody has a chance. Second warning.
Okay, so that's, yeah, any final questions for the questionnaire?
Yes. For the
Or is due
question.
within a
Survey
week? Survey questions.
Quickly.
Okay. All right. Anybody else?
Real quick, what would be involved in widening the entranceway to Trout Run? Because if you've had, I coach down there, it is horrible. When you have an event there, or you have games on a Saturday morning, you can be stuck in that parking lot for 15 minutes.
Are you
Is that the-
talking on, obviously, the,
Because everybody slows down at the bridge.
You're
I don't think
have
that was just
you're not
redone. I
gonna,
don't think
that's
that
the
bridge-
railroad.
Yeah.
No, not the
Well, be
bridge going
thankful
out.
you can
I
drive
mean the
under it.
bridge
Where the,
going into the compound.
Yeah, okay.
where the culvert pipe
Yeah.
goes. It's very narrow. and
Actually,
remember
I
that being-
think that culvert pipe is slated to be replaced. It wasn't I think it was something the township was looking at doing. Originally, we had it planned as part of the
I think it's
culvert
up
projects.
further, Though,
Oh,
I think are you talking about the culvert itself?
I'm talking right when you, yes. Well, no, not. when you
Under the
say
bridge.
culvert. No,
when you,
no,
when
not
you
the
turn,
railroad
when you
bridge.
turn into
Okay.
Trout Run, there's a pipe that's
Yes.
underneath there.
And it narrows.
It goes back to where.
Yeah,
Two trucks
where,
can
where
now
the,
go
where the
through there.
pavilion.
Yeah.
Okay.
That pipe, I believe, is scheduled to be replaced. I thought, I have to
Yeah.
check with Larry. I think that might be done internally now. We originally were gonna have it done as part of the culvert project. That was kind of a, I'll say, the low one on the totem, but I think we were looking at, I could
was
check with Larry.
2026, that-
Yeah, that one probably could be
In-house.
in-house, I think.
I
think
will run
we'll
this
need
up
a
the
permit, but
flagpole.
yeah.
Okay,
To Larry.
just a thought.
Yeah, no, I get it. I've been there. You're right. I've seen it. I've been there.
It can be a nightmare.
And I can absolutely run that up the flagpole to Larry.
Okay.
I know, they're going for some grant money. Hopefully, they'll get it for DCED for some improvements of the park.
Trying to see where he means.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, anything from staff or engineering?
We've not yet heard back from the 3801 Domino's. I guess they're still working.
We did have some activity. It seems like Martin's Appliance may be submitting land development plans shortly. They've been doing some infiltration testing for stormwater. As you recall, this has been on the books for a while. They've had time extensions, but it sounds like they're moving forward. Their environmental engineer did contact us last week. They're doing some testing. I think they're going to continue, or at least reconvene that this week. So it seems like we're having some activity. As Jason said, 3801, we haven't heard anything. Exeter Storage, they're working out the finances for the escrow.
It's been submitted.
Now, that'll start construction. Metropolitan, we haven't had new plans resubmitted. My guess would be they're working out some of the environmental studies and so forth. So I think I think they did submit their environmental study. I stand
Yeah.
corrected on that. So we're just waiting to hear back. I would anticipate we're probably going to hear probably something, possibly for the November PC, if not December.
If anybody's seen the chain link fence around Taco Bell, it's just getting completely torn down and rebuilt to the exact existing footprint. Joe mentioned Exeter self-storage. That's going to happen very soon. Yeah, Metropolitan. I'm sure you've all heard our country club is going to be changing hands very soon. It will retain and,
Any update on the driver center?
That's a good question. We were just talking about, they did receive their use and occupancy,
Yeah.
but we are assuming they're working out
internal.
staff internally. They have employees, but right now it's not open to the public. Jason and I were just talking about that the other day, and I think it's going to be primarily used for the Real ID
Yeah.
until that. I think there's only 30% of the residents of Pennsylvania have their Real ID, so I think they're using that as a main place, and then eventually, once the Real IDs catch up, I think they're going to turn that more into a driver's license. It's 15,000 square feet compared to the 5 that's over in Cumru.
Should be a nicer facility.
Yes, it'll be nice. And rumor has it they're keeping both open, but it wouldn't surprise me as time goes on, they'll close one of them.
Yeah, but
I mean, small one.
I think the public concern is, when's it going to open?
We can't.
I agree,
That's the
and
bottom line.
unfortunately, they were very, I think right now, maybe it has to do with their computers and so forth, I'm not sure, we're only speculating. It looks nice.
Is there any contacts to there that you can ask them that question?
They did get their use and occupancy, so they
I
can
will say
go,
this.
but I was just assuming right now, they're just working out internally some of the logistics of the operation, that's the only thing I can
PennDOT's the
say.
only one that can answer that.
Yeah.
Right,
I
I
will say
think,
this, they were very, very adamant about getting a use and occupancy, and then all of a sudden, it kind of went radio silence. When they open is really their choice. It's
Yeah.
up to them. We really can't force them to do
No, I'm just
anything.
saying, is there a contact that you have?
no, we don't.
that You
the
can
only
ask them
person-
the question.
The only person that came to our meeting was a consultant from Michael Baker Group that was representing PennDOT, but I think in that department, we really don't have anybody. If it was
We
something to do
don't.
with the highway or something, we have a couple contacts we can reach out to, but I think when it,
Local representative and state senator, you'll get some action then.
They've been in there the past few days.
There's a lot of cars there,
I
yeah.
actually need to renew my license. I drove by today.
Well, I did too.
They
That's
have
the
signs
reason I had to go to Kumru.
They have signs in the windows that says coming soon,
I
and they took the
know.
barrier down from the front door. There was
You might be getting-
probably
No,
20 cars in the parking lot.
I know, I
today.
was hoping the Exeter
We
one
could
was
be getting
open.
ready.
I just had to
Chick-fil-A
get mine.
is possibly moved back. to spring.
Chick-fil-A, I think, is having some difficulties internally, so trying to deal with that, but I think you're right, it's coming
I think it's
back
going to
in
be
spring.
spring now. So
Internally,
that,
the Exeter one or the corporation?
just no, no, they're just the Exeter one. And it's not
yeah.
troubles as far as business-wise.
It's not them, I think
Buttoning up some.
it's more the logistics of
Yeah.
doing the operation where some of the land is owned by the shopping center or another owner, so I think that's where they're trying to work out the logistics.
Jason, so you did mention about the country club. I know there was some discussion about some items on that the
Yep.
township was looking to address prior to the sale, relative to maybe some access points and so forth. Can you share any
Yeah, Joe, you did,
information at this
you
point?
can, if you want to speak on the annexation
Sure.
plan. There have been some properties that were
The
annexed.
the township directed our office to do some survey, deed plotting of the country club property, try to, I'll say, resolve some closures that don't work. Unfortunately, in the survey world, a lot of times these properties don't close. We got some areas to close. Also dealing with some annexation of land from the country club onto, I would call the campus property, the township campus property.
Yep.
To allow for any future development, fire department, whatever facility that might go in where the area is, currently the dog training center.
The truck lot.
Truck lot.
The way station lot.
What happened is a lot of this is under one deed or several deeds. We're trying to consolidate it because the ambulance is under Exeter. You have a parcel within a parcel. So we're trying to clean a lot of that up and then separate the country club with what we own. At the same time, provide easements because some of the property where the truck detail work takes place, we have an irrigation system that goes through there. Also allowing a future access if the secondary access to the club would come in there. There's a place along Gibraltar Road where you have the optimum site distance. There's not a lot. It's just one area. So we provided an easement for the future owners of the country club in case they'd like to expand or expand meaning add another entranceway. And trying to clean up some of the, I'll say, issues to have the campus under one property and then have the country club under another property. And right now, we did submit the plan. The board did choose, we did send it to a conflict engineer for review. So we're waiting. They've been in contact with us and we made some corrections. So at this point, probably the plan will come in forward, which I'll need to recuse any discussion. However, the board does want to go in front of the planning commission, and then the board's going to review and approve it and then record it. This will probably all take place, most possibly next meeting, November. But we did iron out some of the concerns. A lot of deed research went into this, Gibraltar Road, that whole relocation, a lot of things were missing, but I think we got a lot of things resolved, right-of-ways that were taken. So we want to make sure we cover everything once we have it recorded and so forth. So just give an update, but that's basically what the general overall scope.
Okay.
Use of the property will remain what it is. Golf facilities, banquet halls, looking to reopen the restaurant. There's been talk of a lot of new amenities being pool, pickleball courts.
Other recreational type.
Yeah, a lot of, money to be spent on the property. They're excited about their new venture, and it should, be a nice amenity and facility for our residents. Somewhere else to go eat and have a wedding and play golf. So
Okay.
it's going to
Thank
be
you.
preserved.
Any updates on the promenade?
And nothing currently. No, it's been a little quiet.
A little?
Yeah. The last I had heard, I think I mentioned to you guys that, I was pretty excited about the possibility of what I heard. I did check on that. Hey, it's been a little bit. Are we still? And yes, nothing has been pulled off the table, and don't let the radio silence scare you. We're still moving forward. So I have high hopes that that project will go through. I can't say too much about it. But I was pretty excited to hear, what was spoke about to me.
Okay. Good.
That's all I really have.
All right. Hearing nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Les,
Second.
second by Jeff. Meeting adjourned.
Jason, do you need me to sign minutes?
Minutes, yes. Let me shut down.
See you guys. Have a good night.
See you, Jordan.
Is it okay that I pushed the motions like that?